The first time I kissed Eli Hart, I had him pressed against a concrete column wrapped in holiday lights. New York wind biting at my bare shoulders, his hand gripping my waist so hard it made my knees weak. His other hand slid up my spine, dragging heat with it, and for a few reckless seconds, I forgot my ex, my best friend. And every rule I'd ever pretended to live by. I just knew I wanted more. Before we start, tell me, where are you listening from? Drop your city in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next story, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Because an hour before that kiss, I was just trying not to spiral over my ex at a rooftop bar in Midtown. The night started with a bad idea, letting Jenna talk me into going out when I was still emotionally hungover from Carter. "Come on," she said, tugging at the sleeve of my blazer as we waited in line for the elevator. "You broke up with him, remember? You're the one who said, and I quote, 'I'd rather die alone with 6 cats than answer one more text that says, sorry. Busy day? Rain check.'" The elevator dinged, people shuffled in, all perfume, cologne, and cold air. I rolled my eyes. "I know what I said," I muttered. "I just didn't think the universe would respond by sending his stupid face to the same rooftop bar." Her brown eyes widened. "Wait, he's actually here tonight?" "His Instagram story," I said, shoving my phone at her. 15 minutes ago? Same place, same bar, same stupid city." She squinted at the screen. "Why does he still show you his stories?" "Because I still haven't blocked him," I admitted. "Because I'm weak." The elevator doors opened, and we spilled out into the dimly lit hallway that led to the rooftop. Bass thumped through the walls, muffled laughter spilling out whenever someone pushed open the glass doors. She smoothed the front of her black dress, all curves and confidence. "Good. Then tonight isn't about him. It's about you flirting with somebody new, ordering overpriced cocktails, and letting your main hobby be looking hot and minding your business." "That's 2 hobbies," I said. "That's growth." She shot back, looping her arm through mine and pulling me toward the rooftop. The door opened to a wash of cold air and city noise. The rooftop bar was strewn with warm fairy lights, heaters glowing orange, people gathered around high tables in coats and sequins. The Empire State Building glowed in the distance like it was posing for us. If you don't know New York rooftops, they're basically therapy with a cover charge. "Okay," she's first drink on me. "Then you can decide if we stay or accidentally forget your phone somewhere. He might see you laughing." "You're evil," I told her. "You're welcome," she replied. We found a spot near the edge, where the glass barrier opened 2 views of Midtown, glowing under the December sky. I tugged my blazer tighter around my dress, which suddenly felt too low cut and too optimistic for my mood. Carter used to love rooftop bars. Carter used to love my dress. Carter used to love a lot of things. Apparently, including answering texts from his female coworker at midnight. "Stop," she said softly, bumping my shoulder with hers as we waited at the bar. "Your spiral brain face is on." I tried to smooth it away. "I'm fine. You're thinking about him. Everyone thinks about their ex." "Yeah, but while they're in line for an espresso martini," she said. "That's sacred time." I laughed despite myself. "Fine, I'll just focus on drinking." "And flirting," she added. "I don't flirt." "Wrong. You flirt when you're not thinking about flirting." She pointed at my eyes. "It's that thing you do. The I could kill you or kiss you stare. That is not a thing." "It is absolutely a thing." We ordered drinks. The bartender slid mine over, a dark amber something with too much ice and not enough explanation, and I took a sip that burned like a bad decision and tasted like potential. It was the cocktail version of Eli, but I didn't know that yet. She glanced over my shoulder suddenly, and her eyes lit up. "Oh my God, what?" I asked, panic jumping. "Is it him?" "No," she said slowly, like she'd just seen a celebrity. "That's him. That's who." She leaned slightly closer, pretending not to stare. "My mystery rooftop guy?" I blinked. "I'm sorry, you're what? The guy I told you about?" she hissed. "The one I see on the F train sometimes? The one with the hands and the jaw and the reading actual physical books? He's here. I swear that's him." "Okay, chill," said, turning carefully so I wouldn't be obvious. He was standing near the far corner of the rooftop, one hand in the pocket of his dark coat, the other wrapped around a rocks glass. The lights from the bar cast a gold line along his jaw. He had dark hair that fell across his forehead like it was in a contract with gravity. A white shirt open at the collar, and the kind of shoulders that made you suddenly aware of posture. He laughed at something one of his friends said, tipping his head back. His hand flexed around the glass, showcasing long fingers that looked like they knew exactly what to do with themselves. "Okay, I got..." "You've been holding out on me," I murmured. Right. She breathed. I told you, he's stupid hot. What's his name again? I asked. I don't know, she said, sounding personally offended by that fact. I call him F-train guy or, husband. I snorted. Subtle. She shrugged. A girl can have quiet obsessions. Quiet obsessions. Like the way she checked the F schedule to align her commute, the way she kept scanning train cars, hoping to catch sight of him. She'd talked about him for months, always half joking, always half serious. He was the man she never spoke to, but privately claimed in the fantasy space of one day. I smiled at her. Well, maybe the universe is giving you a sign. Maybe, she said, eyes not leaving him. I am absolutely not ready to read it, but still. We clinked glasses and moved toward a tall table near the edge, the city stretching beyond us. Music pulsed, low and atmospheric. It smelled like expensive perfume, cologne, and the faint, metallic hint of cold air. I was just starting to relax when everything tilted. Because Carter walked in, I saw him over her shoulder, ... The familiar slip of his shoulders, the stupid leather jacket, his laugh aimed at someone I didn't recognize. He looked relaxed, comfortable, not like someone who'd spent the last week texting me that he needed space and didn't know how he felt. He looked like someone who'd already decided. My stomach dropped. She followed my gaze, and her whole face hardened. Absolutely not, she muttered. Nope, we are not doing this. He hadn't seen me yet. I could have walked away. I could have left the bar. I could have done the mature thing and gone home to cry into a pint of cookie dough. Instead, I did something incredibly stupid. Don't freak out, I said, my pulse pounding in my ears. Oh, God, she said. What are you about to do? Your face is doing the thing. But I was already moving. I weaved through clusters of people, past a group taking photos, past a couple making out in a corner. My drink sloshed over the rim. I set it blindly on a table as I passed. I didn't look at Carter. I looked straight ahead, ... toward the column near the stringlit edge of the rooftop. Toward him. F-train guy. In that moment, he wasn't her mystery man. He was just the closest, hottest man I'd ever seen, who was not my ex. He was leaning against the column, half tuned out of his friend's story, gaze drifting over the city. Up close, he was even more unreal. Dark lashes, faint stubble, lips that looked like they'd been drawn with too much attention to detail. He noticed me the second I stepped into his orbit. His eyes flicked to mine, curiosity sparking. Hey, he said, voice low, a little surprised. Do we? ... I didn't let him finish. I stepped into his space, grabbed a fistful of his shirt, and rose up on my toes. For one suspended heartbeat, I hesitated, ... enough for my brain to scream, what are you doing, ... And then I kissed him. His lips were warm and soft and stunned under mine. For half a second, he didn't move. Then, he reacted like a fuse had finally found its spark. His glass hit the ledge behind him. One hand slid around my waist, fingers digging in, pulling me flush against him. The other came up to the center of my back, then moved higher, tracing my spine through my blazer in one slow, searing line. The column was cool at my back. Holiday lights wrapped around it at my shoulder, but all I felt was heat. He kissed me back like I was the answer to a question he hadn't meant to ask out loud. His mouth slanted over mine, deeper, his thumb pressing into my hip. I tasted whiskey and something citrus on his tongue. The music, the city, the people, all blurred into background noise. I threaded my fingers into the fabric of his shirt, feeling the steady rise and fall of his chest. He made a low sound in his throat when I unintentionally tugged him even closer. His breath mingled with mine, hot and fast. When he tilted his head, his nose brushed mine, and the angle shifted just enough that the kiss went from reckless to devastating. It was impulsive, reckless. So hot, my entire body lit up like someone had poured an espresso shot straight into my veins. Carter didn't exist. My ex didn't exist. There was just this stranger in his hands and the way he kissed me like I was something he'd wanted long before tonight. I felt eyes on us. I heard someone laugh, someone murmur, get it under their breath. I almost remembered why I'd done this, ... to make someone jealous. But the truth was, in that moment, I wasn't performing. I was drowning. He pulled back finally, just enough to breathe, his forehead nearly resting against mine. His eyes searched my face, pupils blown wide with confusion, and something very close to hunger. Wow, he said quietly. Breath still ragged. Okay, hi. He said it, ... like he'd been launched into another dimension, ... made my stomach flip. Sorry, I blurted, which was insane considering I'd just had my tongue in his mouth. That was I glanced over his shoulder. Carter was staring, jaw tight, face unreadable. Petty satisfaction zinged through me. Then guilt followed, sour and mean. Back at the stranger, at the man I'd just kissed like he was oxygen. "I'm so sorry," I said again, suddenly aware of my own insanity. "I just needed to make someone jealous, and you were there, and you can pretend that never happened. I'm really not this unhinged." His lips curved, still swollen from the kiss. "Not complaining," he said, voice warm. "But I do have a follow-up question." "What? Are you okay?" He said me like he actually wanted to know the answer, because that felt a lot like a meltdown, disguised as a power move. I huffed out a shaky laugh. "That's uncomfortably accurate. Want to tell me about it?" he asked gently. "I really don't," I said. "But thank you for your service. I owe you a drink, or like a copay." He smiled, a quick flash of dimples. "I'll take your name instead." My heart stuttered. I saw her across the rooftop, watching with huge eyes, one hand over her mouth. Oh, God. I stepped back like I'd been burned. "I have to go." "Wait," he said, reaching out as if he might catch my wrist, but he stopped himself. His hand hovered uselessly between us. "I'm sorry," I said, already retreating. "I'm really sorry." I turned and walked as fast as my heels would let me, past the bar, past the couple making out against the railing, past Carter's jealous stare. I didn't stop until I was in the stairwell, backside pressed to the cold wall, heart trying to punch its way out of my chest. Inside my brain was just one looping thought. What did you just do? By the time she burst into my apartment later that night, I had eaten half a pizza, changed into sweatpants, and was pretending to be very invested in a baking show I'd already seen. She tossed her coat onto the chair and stared at me like I'd grown a second head. "What the hell?" "I know," I said, not looking up from the TV. "I shouldn't have done it. I mean, the kiss," she said. "Not the pizza. The pizza was necessary," I groaned, dropping my head back on the couch. "Who even are you?" she asked, pacing. "You don't kiss strangers. You don't kiss anyone without a 6-month texting vetting process." I panicked. I said, Carter walked in, and my lizard brain was like, must prove hotness, and then my body listened without consulting me. She pinched the bridge of her nose. "Okay. Deep, start from the top." "How was he?" I blinked. "Excuse me." She dropped onto the chair across from me, eyes wide. "The kiss? I saw you. Half the rooftop saw you. That was not a thanks for your time. Citizen kiss. That was a make it illegal kiss." I covered my face with my hands. "Answer the question." I hesitated. When I spoke, my voice was softer. It was ... I swallowed. "Intense." Her expression turned dreamy. He looked intense. He held me like... I stopped, aware heat was creeping up my neck. Like he didn't care who was watching. She groaned dramatically. "I'm so jealous of you right now. You literally have a crush on Carter's jawline. Don't be jealous of me," I muttered. "Not anymore," she said. "Tonight was a live-action reminder that Carter is mid-tier energy at best." I snorted. "Mid-tier energy?" "It's science," she said, then suddenly brightened whole. "Speaking of energy, you will never guess what I found out tonight." I looked at her warily. "What?" She grabbed her phone, tapping furiously. "Okay, so friend Lily knows a guy who works at this PR firm in Midtown. And guess who his coworker is?" "I have no idea." "F-Train." "Guy?" she said, practically bouncing. "He has a name. A real name? Not just guy with hands and books." My heart lurched. I asked, trying to sound casual. "What is it?" She turned the screen toward me. "A LinkedIn profile? A photo? That jaw? Those eyes?" "Name, Eli Hart." My stomach dropped straight through the floor. She squinted at me. "Why do you look like you just saw God and he wasn't impressed?" I swallowed, throat suddenly dry. "Eli," I repeated, numb. "That's nice." "Nice," she said, scandalized. "He looks like he does push-ups for fun. Anyway, Lily says he's single, works too much, and once turned down a model because he wasn't feeling it, which, like, husband, I couldn't breathe." She kept talking. "Can you imagine if I actually met him? I'd die. I'm not ready. I need 3 to 5 more months of imaginary conversations with him on public transit before I... Seriously? Are you okay? You look weird." I thought of his mouth on mine, his hand on my waist, his voice murmuring, "I'll take your name instead." And then I heard her words again. My future husband, my mystery rooftop guy, F-train guy? I had kissed her crush. Not just kissed, thrown myself at him in front of half of Midtown. Forced a smile that felt like it might crack my face in half. I'm fine. I lied. Just tired. Tomorrow, she said, standing. We'll do brunch. And you can tell me if Carter looked like he wanted to die watching you kiss a stranger. Wait, ... And maybe, she added, blissfully unaware, one day I'll tell you how I kissed Eli Hart on a rooftop, and it was the start of an epic love story. I almost choked. Yeah, I said weakly, maybe. When she left, I sat in the quiet, the city humming outside my window, and replayed the kiss in slow motion. His hand, my name he didn't get, the way I'd run, and the fact that the hottest man I'd ever kissed was apparently off limits before I even knew his name. I tried to forget about him. I really did. New York, unfortunately, had other plans. It started a week later at a bookstore in the East Village, the kind of place with creaky floors and staff pics written in messy handwriting on little index cards. I had a latte in one hand and a paperback romance in the other, mentally mocking the heroine for making bad decisions while ignoring the fact that I had kissed a stranger for sport. Excuse me, a voice said behind me. Do you happen to know if they have any more copies of that? I turned. Eli Hart stood there in a navy coat and Henley, his hair a little messier, his stubble a little more Grodin. He smelled like clean laundry and something musky that made my pulse trip. For a second, my brain short-circuited. Oh, he said, recognition crashing across his face. Wow. Hi. My fingers tightened around the book. Hi, I managed. He laughed softly, almost disbelieving. So, you're real? I was starting to think I hallucinated you. I swallowed. I'm fully corporeal. Good, he said. Makes the whole stranger kissed on rooftop story way less concerning. Heat burned my cheeks. I'm sorry, I said automatically. You keep saying that, he replied. I'm starting to think you regret it. I do, I lied. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly, right? An awkward beat stretched between us, full of all the things we weren't saying. About that book? He said finally, nodding toward the romance I'd been holding. Is it good? I don't know yet, I admitted. I heard it's about people making questionable choices. So, nonfiction? He said, despite myself. I smiled. He watched me for a moment, like he liked that he'd pulled that reaction out of me. I've been trying to figure out what to say if I ran into you again, he said quietly. Do you recommend any romance novels on my list? You had a list? I asked mentally, he said. Option A was hi, I'm Eli. You kissed me like you meant it. Option B was, are you okay? Option C was something extremely smooth and charming that I never quite drafted. My heart did a weird stutter step. And which one are we on now? Somewhere between A and B, he admitted. Maybe leaning toward C-. I laughed, nerves buzzing. You're doing fine. He took a small step closer, not invading my space, but reducing the distance just enough that I could smell the coffee on his breath and feel the heat coming off his body. So, he said softly, why did you run? Hearing my name in his mouth did something to me I wasn't prepared for. I licked my lips. I was about to say it. To say I used you? To say my ex was there and my ego was bleeding? To say my best friend is in love with you and I didn't know until afterward and now I feel like I stole something that wasn't mine. But before I could open that door, someone else's voice cut through the aisle. Hey, I flinched. She appeared at the end of the romance section, cheeks pink from the cold, scarf looped around her neck, grinning like she'd won something. Oh my God, she said, hurrying over. You're actually here. I've been texting you. She stopped short when she saw Eli. Her eyes went wide. Oh, she breathed. Hi. He looked between us, confusion flickering, then false recognition sliding into place. You must be her friend, he said slowly. Her jaw dropped. You know my name? Lily's fed? She mentioned you, said there's this girl on the F train who always looks like she's in the middle of writing a novel in her head. She visibly malfunctioned. That's me, she said faintly. I mean, I'm that girl. Hi. I'm her. Her hand out too fast. He shook it, smiling. I watched them, my stomach twisting. If you've ever felt like the universe is handing you a moral test, that was my moment. She turned to me, animated. This is him. This is Eli. The guy I told you about, train guy. The one I've been low-key obsessing over for months. This is him. I knew. I knew before she even said it. But hearing it out loud hit different. I forced myself to smile, my whole body buzzing with wrongness. Nice to officially meet you, I said, words catching in my throat. He studied me with a careful expression that said he understood there was more going on than he'd been told. "Yeah," he said quietly. "It's to meet you, too." Have you ever been in a moment where your heart is running in one direction and your loyalty is pulling you in the opposite way? What would you do if you were me? I left the bookstore a few minutes later, claiming I had to meet a client. She believed me because she wanted to stay, wanted to keep talking to Eli about books and trains and fate and whatever else she'd been rehearsing in her head. I watched them through the glass for 3 seconds. Just 3. She laughed at something he said, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. He smiled, softer than I'd seen with anyone but me, and my chest ached with something ugly and sharp. I turned and walked away, the December air slicing into my lungs. That night, in my Lower East Side apartment, I lay on my couch, the city humming outside, my phone buzzing occasionally with texts she'd sent. "Oh my God, he's even nicer than I imagined." Then, he bought the same book you were holding. Is that a sign? Then, I think I'm in trouble, laughing out loud. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. One typed out a confession 3 times. He lit it 3 times. I kissed him before I knew. I kissed him like I meant it. He kissed me back, like he did, too. Every version sounded like betrayal. My phone buzzed again, ... this time with an unknown number. The message read, "Hey, it's Eli. Lily gave me your number. Hope that's okay." My heart jumped straight into my throat, and another message appeared. "I don't know what's happening, but I haven't stopped thinking about you since the rooftop." Another bubble appeared, then vanished. Appeared again, vanished. Finally, it stayed. The text said, "Please don't avoid me." I stared at the message, thumb hovering, the weight of 2 people's feelings balancing on a blinking cursor. Desire, loyalty, him, her, the city outside. My window glowed like temptation. And for the first time in my life, I had no idea which kind of heartbreak I was willing to live with. I stared at his text until the screen blurred. "Please don't avoid me." My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I could have typed something safe, ... "Sorry, wrong number," or "I think you're confused," but my fingers wouldn't cooperate. They just sat there, frozen, while my brain screamed at me to do the right thing. The right thing would have been to delete his number, block him, tell her everything, and let the chips fall where they may. Instead, I set my phone face down on the coffee table and poured myself a glass of wine I didn't really want. The apartment felt too quiet, too small, like the walls were pressing in with judgment. I replayed the bookstore scene in my head, the way her entire face had lit up when she recognized him, the way she'd tucked her hair behind her ear, ... that nervous tell she'd had since college, the way he had looked at me when she wasn't watching, like he was trying to solve an equation with missing variables. My phone buzzed again. I shouldn't have looked. The text read, "I get it if this is complicated, but I need to know, was that kiss real, or was I just convenient?" The question landed like a punch. I grabbed my phone before I could stop myself. I typed, "It was both." 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared, appeared again. He replied, "I can work with that. Then, coffee tomorrow? No pressure? So let me see you, please." Every rational cell in my body screamed no. But I'd stopped listening to rational cells the moment I kissed him. I sent back. Where? The cafe was in Chelsea, tucked between a vintage clothing store and a place that sold overpriced succulents to people who needed therapy but chose plants instead. I arrived 10 minutes early, which meant I had 10 minutes to spiral. I ordered a cappuccino I wouldn't drink and claimed a table near the window, where I could watch people rush past with their coffee and their purpose and their lives that presumably didn't involve kissing their best friend's crush. When he walked in, everything else went quiet. He wore dark jeans and a gray sweater that fit him like a personal attack. The kind of sweater that said, "I woke up looking like this, even though you knew he'd probably tried on 3 others first." His hair was slightly damp, like he'd just showered, and he spotted me. His whole face softened into something that made my stomach flip. "Hey," he said, sliding into the seat across from me. "Hi," I managed. For a moment, we just looked at each other. The cafe buzzed around us, ... espresso machines hissing. Someone's laptop playing lo-fi beats. A couple arguing quietly about whether oat milk was actually better for the environment. "You came?" he said finally. "I almost didn't," I admitted. "But you did." His eyes held mine, dark and steady. That counts for something. I wrapped both hands around my cup, needing something to hold on to. Wait, he interrupted gently. "Before you tell me this was a mistake or that we can't do this or whatever speech you've been rehearsing since last night, just give me 5 minutes, okay?" I hesitated, then nodded. Leaned forward, forearms on the table. Close enough that I could smell his soap, ... something clean and cedar-scented that made me want to lean in closer. "I don't usually do this," he said. I don't chase women who kiss me and run. I don't ask my friend's coworker for phone numbers. I definitely don't text at midnight like some desperate guy who can't take a hint. You're doing great so far, I said dryly, the corner of his mouth lifted. My point is, you got under my skin. That kiss? I felt it everywhere. And when I saw you at the bookstore, I thought maybe the universe was giving me a second chance to not completely blow it. My throat tightened. You didn't blow anything? Then why did you run? He asked quietly. And why do you look like you're about to bolt right now? I couldn't tell him. Not without destroying her. It's complicated, I said weakly. Complicated how? He studied my face, reading things I wasn't saying. Is it your ex? The guy you were trying to make jealous? No, I said quickly. Carter's ancient history. This isn't about him. Then what? She loves you. She's loved the idea of you for months. She takes the F train hoping to see you. She calls you her future husband. And I kissed you before I knew any of that. And now I can't unkiss you, and I don't even want to. I just, I swallowed hard. I think you should focus on other people. His jaw tightened. Other people? Yeah. Like who? The question was dangerous and direct. I couldn't say her name. If I said her name, this became real. If I said her name, I'd have to watch him choose, and I wasn't ready to know which way that choice would go. His hand moved across the table, stopping just short of touching mine. I don't want other people. I want to know why you kissed me like that if you were just going to disappear. Because I wasn't thinking, I said, voice cracking slightly. Because I was hurt and stupid and you were there, and what? He pressed. And you looked at me like I was something worth noticing, I finished quietly. The air between us went taut. His fingers finally closed the distance, brushing against my knuckles. It was barely a touch. Just the pat of his thumb tracing the edge of my hand, but it sent electricity straight up my arm. You were worth noticing, he said, voice low. You walked onto that rooftop like you owned the place. Grabbed me like you'd been thinking about it all night, and kissed me like the world was ending. Trust me, I noticed. My breath caught. I haven't stopped noticing, he continued. The way you bite your bottom lip when you're nervous, the way your eyes go dark when you're about to say something you think you shouldn't, the way you step. I pulled my hand back, chest aching. Please. He sat back slowly, studying me with an expression that was part confusion, part hurt. You feel this too, he said. It wasn't a question. I did. God, I did. I felt it in every nerve ending, every racing heartbeat, every breath that came to shallow when he was near, but feeling something didn't make it right. It doesn't matter what I feel, I said. How can you say that? Because some things matter more than what we want. I stood up, grabbing my coat. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have come, but I was already walking toward the door, vision blurring, heart hammering so hard I thought it might crack straight through my ribs. I made it 3 blocks before I had to stop, pressing my back against a brick building, trying to breathe through the feeling that I'd just made a catastrophic mistake. My phone buzzed. The text said, I'm not giving up on you. I stared at it until my vision cleared, then typed the only thing I could. I sent, you should. She called me that night while I was stress-eating pad thai and pretending to watch reality TV. Okay, don't freak out, she's second I answered. My stomach dropped. What happened? Eli asked me out. A container of noodles slipped from my hand, landing on the couch with a wet thud. You there? Yeah, I croaked. I'm here. He texted me like an hour ago. Voice pitched high with excitement. Just super casual, like, hey, I know this is random, but would you want to grab dinner sometime? And I obviously said yes because I've been manifesting this for literal months. Wait, my voice came out sharper than I intended. Silence. What's wrong? She asked carefully. Everything? Everything was wrong. I opened my mouth to tell her, to confess the whole messy truth about the rooftop and the bookstore and the cafe and the way my entire body lit up when he looked at me. But then I pictured her face. The way she'd talked about him for months. The way she'd lit up at the bookstore. The way she deserved something good after her last boyfriend had cheated on her with his yoga instructor. I couldn't do it. I couldn't be the person who took this from her. Nothing's wrong, I lied. I'm just surprised. That's great. Really? You sound weird? I'm not weird. I'm happy for you. You're sure? She pressed. Because you've been acting strange since the bookstore. Is this about Carter? Are you spiraling again? No, I said firmly. This has nothing to do with Carter. Go on your date. Have fun. You deserve this. I heard her exhale in relief. Okay, good. Because I really need this to go well. I need something to go right for once. Guilt twisted in my stomach like a knife. It will, I told her. He'd be crazy not to see how amazing you are. After we hung up, I sat in the quiet of my apartment, the city glowing beyond my window, and let myself feel the full weight of what I'd just done. I'd lied to my best friend. I'd stepped back from the first man who'd made me feel something real in years. I'd chosen her happiness over mine. And somehow, doing the right thing had never felt so completely wrong. I avoided his texts for 3 days. It wasn't easy. He didn't spam me, didn't send desperate paragraphs, just small messages that felt like breadcrumbs I wasn't allowed to follow. One said, "How's your day?" Another, "Saw a woman at the train station reading that romance novel. Made me think of you. Then I'm taking her to dinner Thursday. Thought you should know." That last one hit differently.
Hey.
I stared at it for 20 minutes, thumb hovering over the keyboard, 1,000 responses fighting for space in my brain. Don't go. She's my best friend. I can't stop thinking about you either. I typed nothing. Just set my phone down and went for a run I didn't need through Central Park, trying to outpace feelings that had nowhere to go. Thursday came. I knew the exact moment their date started because she texted me a photo from the restaurant bathroom, her in a black dress. Hair curled, smile nervous and hopeful. The message said, "Wish me luck," with a crossed fingers emoji. I sent back, "You've got this," with a heart. I turned off my phone after that. Couldn't handle the play-by-play. Couldn't handle knowing he was sitting across from her, probably making her laugh, probably being the version of charming I'd only glimpsed in fragments. Instead, I deep cleaned my apartment, scrubbed the kitchen until it gleamed, reorganized my bookshelf by color, then by author, then gave up and shoved everything back randomly, started a load of laundry I didn't need to do. By 11 p.m., I'd run out of distractions. My phone sat on the counter, dark and accusing. I turned it back on, 12 texts from her. I didn't open them. Didn't have the stomach for whatever happiness or disappointment lived inside those bubbles. Instead, I saw the other notification. His message, "We need to talk." My heart stopped. Another, not over text, in person. Then, "Tomorrow? Please?" I shouldn't have responded. Should have blocked his number, deleted the thread, moved to a different borough. But my fingers betrayed me. I typed, "Where?" His response came immediately, like he'd been waiting. He sent, "My place. I'll send the address." Every alarm bell in my body went off. Going to his apartment was crossing a line I couldn't uncross. It was intimate. It was dangerous. It was exactly the kind of decision the heroine in my romance novel would make right before everything fell apart. I sent, "That's not a good idea." He replied, "I know. Come anyway." I stared at my phone for a full minute, my pulse pounding in my ears, desire and loyalty waging war in my chest. Then I did the thing I knew I'd regret. I typed, "What time?" His apartment was in the West Village, a fourth-floor walk-up with exposed brick, and the kind of charm that came with a price tag I didn't want to calculate. I stood outside his door for 30 seconds, hand raised to knock, having a full conversation with myself about turning around and pretending I'd gotten lost. Before I could decide, the door opened. He stood there in dark joggers and a white t-shirt that clung to his shoulders. Hair messy, like he'd been running his hands through it, barefoot on hardwood. He looked unfairly good for someone who was about to ruin my life. "You came," he said softly, against my better judgment. "That seems to be a pattern with us." He stepped back, holding the door open. "Come in." I hesitated, then crossed the threshold into his space. The apartment smelled like him. Cedar and something warm, maybe vanilla. Books lined the walls, stacked on shelves and piled on the coffee table. A half-empty glass of whiskey sat on the kitchen counter next to an open laptop. "Nice place," I said, because I needed to say something. "Thanks." He closed the door behind me, and suddenly the space felt smaller. "Can I get you anything? Water? Wine? Something stronger?" "Answers," I said, turning to face him. "You texted me to come here. So, talk." His jaw tightened. For a moment, he just looked at me, something unreadable moving behind his eyes. Then he said, "I can't do this." My stomach dropped. "Do what?" "Date your best friend when I can't stop thinking about you." The words hit like a physical blow. "Wait, let me finish." He crossed the room slowly, stopping a few feet away, close enough that I could feel the pull between us, that magnetic thing that had been there since the rooftop. "I took her to dinner tonight. She's lovely. She's smart, funny, exactly the kind of person I should want to get to know better." But the word came out barely a whisper. "The whole time, I was thinking about you." His voice dropped lower. "The way you taste? The way you kissed me like you were claiming something that already belonged to you?" The way you looked at me in that cafe like you wanted to run and stay in equal measure? Stop, I breathed. Why? He took another step closer. Why should I stop saying what we're both feeling? Because she is great, he interrupted. And if I'd never met you first, maybe something could have happened there. But I did meet you first. You kissed me first. You're the one I can't get out of my head. I couldn't breathe. You don't understand. Then explain it to me. Another step? He was so close now I could feel the heat radiating off his body. Tell me why you keep running. Tell me why you're here if you don't feel this too. I do feel it, I admitted, the words ripping out of me. I feel it so much it terrifies me. Then why? Because she loves you. The confession exploded between us. She has been in love with the idea of you for months. She rides the F train, hoping to see you. She calls you her future husband. And I kissed you before I knew any of that, and now I'm stuck between wanting you and protecting her, and I don't know how to do both. Silence crashed over the apartment. He stared at me, processing, his expression shifting through surprise and understanding and something that looked almost like relief. She doesn't love me, he said finally. She loves the idea of me, the guy on the train who reads books. The fantasy? That doesn't make it hurt less. No, he agreed. But it's not the same as this. He gestured between us. What you and I have, ... that's single, quote's not fantasy. That's real. That's terrifying and messy and real. My eyes burned. I can't do this to her. So, you're just going to walk away? His voice cracked slightly. Pretend you don't feel anything. Watch me try to date your best friend while we both know it's you. I don't know. The words came out too loud, too raw. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to choose between you and her without someone getting hurt. He moved closer, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. His hand came up slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I didn't, his fingers brushed my jaw, thumb tracing my cheekbone. I can't make this decision for you, but I need you to know, ... I'm choosing you. I already chose you. I chose you the second you kissed me on that rooftop. Tears spilled over before I could stop them. I'm so tired of doing the right thing, I whispered. Then don't. His forehead dropped to mine, breath mingling with mine in the small space between us. Just for tonight. Don't be your best friend. Don't be the good person who always sacrifices what she wants. Just be you. Be the woman who kissed me like the world was ending. His thumb caught a tear sliding down my cheek. Tell me to stop. Tell me you don't want this. And I'll step back. I'll respect your choice. But if there's even a chance, I kissed him. Not gently, not carefully. I kissed him like I'd been drowning, and he was air. Grabbing fistfuls of his shirt, rising up on my toes to close the distance between us, he made a sound low in his throat, hands sliding to my waist, pulling me flush against him. The kiss was desperate, all teeth and tongue and weeks of tension finally breaking open. His hands moved up my sides, thumbs grazing the undersides of my breasts through my sweater, and I gasped against his mouth. He walked me backward until my spine hit the exposed brick wall, the cold surface contrasting sharply with the heat of his body pressing into mine. God, he breathed against my lips. You have no idea how much I've wanted this. Show me, I whispered. His eyes went dark. He kissed me again, slower this time, but somehow more intense, his tongue sliding against mine in a way that made my knees weak. One hand threaded into my hair, angling my head exactly where he wanted it. The other slid under my sweater, palm hot against my skin, fingers tracing my ribcage. I arched into his touch, my own hands exploring, sliding under his shirt to feel the muscles of his stomach, his back, the way his body responded to every movement I made. When his lips left mine to trail down my neck, I bit back a moan. Don't, he murmured against my throat. Don't hold back. I want to hear you. His teeth scraped the sensitive spot below my ear, and I couldn't have held back if I tried. The sound that came out of me was desperate, needy, everything I'd been trying not to feel. Fuck, he breathed. You're going to destroy me. Good, I managed, tugging at his shirt. He helped me pull it over his head, and then his hands were on me again, pulling my sweater off, his eyes drinking in every inch of exposed skin. You're so beautiful, he said, voice rough. So fucking beautiful. He kissed me again, hands sliding down to grip my hips, pulling me against him so I could feel exactly how much he wanted this. Wanted me? We stumbled toward the bedroom, a tangle of limbs and desperate kisses and clothes creating a trail behind us. When the backs of my knees hit his bed, I pulled him down with me, and for the first time in weeks, the guilt went quiet. There was just him, just us. Just this moment that felt inevitable and wrong and more right than anything I'd felt in years. I woke up in his bed as dawn light filtered through the windows. his arm heavy across my waist, his breathing slow and even against my neck. For exactly 3 seconds, I let myself feel the warmth of his body, the safety of his arms, the way my entire being hummed with satisfaction. Then reality crashed back in. What have you done? I slipped out of bed carefully, trying not to wake him. Gathering my clothes from where they'd been scattered across his hardwood floor, my hands shook as I pulled on my jeans, my sweater, my coat. My phone sat on his nightstand, screen lit up with notifications. 6 missed calls, 12 texts. My heart stopped. I grabbed it, fingers fumbling to unlock the screen. The messages read, "Hey date, went weird. Can we talk?" Then he was really distracted. Kept checking his phone. Then, I think he's into someone else. Then, I think he might be into you. Then, are you awake? Then, okay, I'm being paranoid. Call me, wake up. Then, actually, don't call. I need to sleep. Talk tomorrow? The last text had come in 20 minutes ago. It said, wait, your location shows you in the West Village. Whose place are you at? My blood turned to ice. Hey, I spun around. He was sitting up in bed, sheet pulled at his waist, hair a mess, eyes still soft with sleep. I have to go, I said, shoving my phone in my pocket. What? Why? He rubbed his face, trying to wake up faster. Come back to bed. We'll figure this out. There's nothing to figure out. My voice came out brittle. This was a mistake. His expression shuddered. Don't do that. Do what? Pretend last night didn't mean anything. He stood up, grabbing his joggers from the floor. You can't kiss me like that. Touch me like that. Look at me the way you did. And then I can't do this right now, I interrupted, heading for the door. Wait, but I was already gone. Flying down 4 flights of stairs, bursting onto the street where the city was just starting to wake up. My phone rang immediately. Her name flashed on the screen. I stared at it, thumb hovering over the answer button. If I answered, I'd have to lie. If I didn't answer, she'd know something was wrong. I answered. Hey, I said, trying to sound normal. Sorry, I was asleep. Where are you? She asked immediately. Your location says West Village. Think? I'm at a coffee shop. Couldn't sleep, went for a walk. At 6 a.m? Insomnia? I said weakly. Silence. Tell me the truth. Are you with someone? My throat closed up. Because if you are, that's great, she continued. I'm happy for you. I just... I had this weird feeling last night that he was thinking about someone else, and then your location showed West Village, which is where he lives. And I'm probably just being paranoid, but I have to tell you something, I interrupted, voice breaking. Oh, God. Her breath caught. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. You slept with him. It wasn't a question. You slept with Eli. The words hung in the space between us like shrapnel. I didn't mean for it to happen, I said desperately. I didn't plan it. You knew? Her voice went sharp. You knew I liked him. You knew I'd been waiting months for a chance with him. And you still. I know, and I'm so sorry. When? She demanded. When did this start? I couldn't breathe. The rooftop. Silence. The rooftop. She repeated slowly. You mean the night you kissed a random stranger to make Carter jealous? That wasn't random. That was Eli. I didn't know, I said, tears streaming down my face now. I swear to God, I didn't know who he was until the bookstore. And you didn't tell me? Her voice cracked. You saw me excited about him, and you just let me believe I had a chance. I was trying to protect you. By lying, she cut in. By sneaking around behind my back? I wasn't sneaking. You're at his apartment at 6 a.m? What do you call that? I had no answer. That wouldn't make it worse. I can't believe you, she said quietly. My best friend. The person I trusted more than anyone. Please. The line went dead. I stood on the sidewalk in the West Village as the city woke up around me. Phone pressed to my ear, listening to silence where my best friend used to be. Behind me, I heard footsteps. Hey! He stood on the steps of his building, still in just his joggers, arms crossed against the cold. Go back inside, I said without turning around. You'll freeze. I don't care. He came down the steps slowly. We need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. I finally turned to face him, vision blurred with tears. She knows. She figured it out, and she'll never forgive me. Maybe not right away, he said carefully. But give her time. Time? I laughed, the sound broken. She's been my best friend for 8 years. We've been through everything together. And I just destroyed that for one night with you. He flinched. Is that all last night was one night? It has to be, I said, even as my heart screamed the opposite. Don't you see? I can't be with you without losing her, and I can't lose her. So, you're just going to walk away. He stepped closer. Pretend you don't feel what you feel. Sacrifice what we could have because you're scared? I'm not scared, I shot back. I'm realistic. This thing between us, ... It's built on hurting someone I love. How could that ever work? Because real connection is rare, he said intensely. Because what we have doesn't come around every day. Because sometimes the right thing isn't the easy thing. The right thing? I repeated, voice hollow. You want to know what the right thing is? The right thing is me walking away before I hurt anyone else. I'm sorry, I said, taking a step back, then another. I'm sorry for kissing you. I'm sorry for last night. I'm sorry for making you think this could be something. It is something, he said desperately. No. I shook my head, tears falling freely now. It's a mistake, and I'm done making them. I turned and walked away. This time, he didn't follow. The next 2 weeks were the longest of my life. She wouldn't return my calls, wouldn't answer my texts, had blocked me on social media like I was a stranger instead of a person who'd held her hair back at college parties and helped her move apartments 3 times and knew her coffee order by heart. I sent her flowers with a note that just said, I'm sorry. She sent them back. I tried showing up at her apartment. She wouldn't buzz me in. I tried everything except the one thing that might have actually worked, giving her space. Because I was selfish. Because I couldn't stand the thought of losing her. Because the guilt was eating me alive and I needed her forgiveness like oxygen. Work became a blur. My boss asked if I was okay. I lied and said I was fine. He texted once. The message said, I miss you. I didn't respond. 3 days later, another came. I'm not giving up on you, but I'll give you space if that's what you need. Week after that, she came by my office today. We talked. I think you should call her. My hand shook as I stared at that message. They'd talked about what? About me? About us? I called her immediately. She answered on the 4th ring. Hi, I said, voice breaking on the single syllable. Hi, she replied, tone carefully neutral. He said you talked. We did. Silence stretched between us, awkward and painful. I'm so sorry, I said for the 1000th time. I know I've said it before, but I need you to know. Stop, she interrupted gently. I don't need another apology. Then what do you need? She sighed. I need you to be honest with me about everything. No more protecting my feelings or hiding things because you think it's better for me. Okay, I said immediately. Anything. Ask anything. Do you love him? The question stole my breath. I swallowed hard. I don't know. Maybe. It's so new. But it feels like you can't breathe when he's not around? She finished quietly. Like he sees parts of you? Else does? Yes, I whispered. Then you do, she said simply. You love him. Tears spilled over again. I didn't mean to. I know. Her voice softened slightly. And I didn't mean to fall for the fantasy of him either. But that's the thing. ... I was in love with an idea. You're in love with the actual person. That doesn't make what I did okay. No, she agreed. It doesn't. You hurt me. You lied to me? You kissed the guy I'd been crushing on for months and then watched me get excited about him without saying a word. That really fucking hurt. I know. But, she continued, he told me something when we talked. He said he tried to feel something for me on that date. He really tried. But his mind kept going back to you. To the way you challenged him, the way you made him laugh. The way you looked at him like you were terrified and exhilarated at the same time. My chest ached. And you know what I realized? She said, I can't be mad at either of you for something that's real, just because my feelings got hurt. That's not fair to any of us. I need time, she said firmly. I need space to process this and remember that you're my best friend before you're the girl who got my crush. But I don't want to lose you. Even if I'm angry, even if this sucks, you're not going to lose me. I promised. Ever? Good. I could hear the smile in her voice. Small, but there. Because who else is going to tell you when you're being an idiot? Am I being an idiot? Yes, she said immediately. You're in love with a guy who's clearly crazy about you, and you're sitting in your apartment feeling guilty instead of going to get him. I can't just ... Yes, you can, she interrupted. Look, I'm giving you permission. Official best friend, permission to date Eli Hart without guilt. Is it weird? Yeah. Is it going to take some getting used to? Absolutely. But you deserve to be happy. And so does he. So stop punishing yourself and go, are you sure? I'm sure, she said softly. But you're buying me brunch for the next month. Expensive brunch? The kind with bottomless mimosas? I laughed through my tears. Dio, after we hung up, I sat in my apartment for exactly 3 minutes, letting her words sink in. You're in love with him? Was I? I thought about his smile, his hands, the way he looked at me like I was something rare and worth protecting, the way he'd texted me even when I wouldn't respond, the way he'd told her the truth instead of letting her believe something that wasn't real. Yeah, I was in love with him, and for the first time in 2 weeks, I let myself feel it without the crushing weight of guilt. I grabbed my coat and keys and headed for the door. It was time to stop running. His apartment looked the same, exposed brick, books everywhere. The faint scent of cedar that I'd memorized without meaning to, but when he opened the door, he looked different, tired, guarded, like he'd spent the last 2 weeks bracing for more heartbreak. Hi, he said, surprise flickering across his face. Hi. He stepped back, holding the door open. Come in. I walked into his space, hands shoved deep in my coat pockets, trying to figure out how to say everything I needed to say. I talked to her. I started. I know, he said quietly. She told me. She gave me permission. The words tumbled out. To be with you. She said I was an idiot for not coming here sooner. His jaw tightened. Is that why you're here? Because she gave you permission? No. I took a step closer. I'm here because I can't stop thinking about you. Because I wake up missing you? Because for 2 weeks, I've been trying to convince myself that walking away was the right choice. And it's been the wrongest thing I've ever done. His eyes searched my face. I'm in love with you, I said, voice shaking. I don't know when it happened, maybe on the rooftop, maybe in that cafe, maybe the first time you looked at me like I mattered. But I love you, and I'm done pretending I don't. For one terrible second, he just stared at me. Then he crossed the room in 3 strides and kissed me. It was different from the rooftop, different from the desperate night we'd spent together. This kiss was softer, deeper, a promise instead of a question. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against mine, hands cupping my face like I was something precious. I love you too, he whispered. I've been in love with you since you grabbed my shirt and kissed me like you were claiming something that was already yours. It was yours, I said, tears spilling over. I was yours from that moment. Kiss me again, slower this time, and I felt the last 2 weeks of ache and guilt and loneliness finally start to dissolve. Stay, he murmured against my lips. Stay tonight, stay tomorrow, stay as long as you want. Okay, I whispered. Okay. 6 months later, I stood in her apartment, helping her get ready for a first date with an architect she'd met at a gallery opening. You look amazing, I told her, adjusting the collar of her dress. You have to say that, she replied, but she was smiling. You're contractually obligated as my best friend. Contractually obligated to tell the truth, I corrected. He's going to lose his mind when he sees you. She turned to face me, expression softening. I'm glad you're here. Where else would I be? I don't know, he shrugged. With him? You two are basically attached at the hip these days. Heat crept up my neck. We're not that bad. You brought him to my cousin's wedding? She pointed out. As your +1. To a family event where you had to explain to your mother how you met. That's pretty attached. She loved him, I said defensively. Everyone loves him, she agreed. It's annoyingly universal. Even I like him now, which is weird considering I used to imagine our wedding. I'm sorry. Stop, she interrupted gently. I'm kidding. Mostly, look, it was hard at first. I won't lie. But watching you two together, the way he looks at you like you hung the moon, that's the kind of thing you can't fake. And I want that for myself. You'll find it, I promised. Maybe tonight? She said hopefully. Maybe this architect is my Eli. Maybe, I agreed. Her phone buzzed with the text, and her eyes lit up. He's downstairs. Wish me luck. You don't need luck, I told her. Just be yourself. After she left, I locked up her apartment and headed back to mine, which was slowly becoming ours as more of his things migrated into my space. A toothbrush in the bathroom, his favorite coffee in the cabinet, a book he'd been reading on my nightstand. Small things that added up to something bigger, something real, something worth fighting for. When I walked into my apartment, he was already there, spread out on the couch with his laptop, glasses perched on his nose, looking unfairly attractive in joggers and a t-shirt. Hey, he said, glancing up with that smile that still made my stomach flip. How'd Operation Dress Your Friend go? Successfully, I replied, dropping my bag and crossing to the couch. She looked incredible. I give it 3 dates before they're exclusive. That fast? He closed his laptop and pulled me down onto his lap. Trust me, I said, wrapping my arms around his neck. I know chemistry when I see it. Do you? His hand settled on my waist, thumbs tracing lazy circles. What does chemistry look like? Well, I said thoughtfully, it looks like grabbing a stranger on a rooftop and kissing him like you've been thinking about it forever. Sounds reckless. It was, I agreed. Best mistake I ever made. Second best, he corrected, leaning in to brush his lips against mine. The best was coming back. I kissed him properly, then, slow and deep, tasting coffee and forever in all the moments we'd fought for. I love you, I whispered against his mouth. I love you too, he replied. Even though you almost ruined me, I did ruin you, I said. You're welcome. He laughed, the sound vibrating through both of us, and pulled me closer. Outside, the city glowed with possibility. Inside, we had everything we needed. Each other, the courage to fight for what was real, and a story that started with a reckless kiss and turned into something neither of us saw coming. So tell me, do you think I made the right choice? Would you have walked away from him to protect your best friend, or would you have fought for what you felt? Have you ever been caught between loyalty and love? Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear how you navigated it. And if this story hit you in all the feels, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Grab a cup. Your daily dose of delight.